could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Monday Night Football Overtime. Ravens, Browns, AFC North, family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's some damn good family business. Woo-hoo-hoo-wee! That was a hell of a contest. And I'm going to say something that might sound crazy to some of y'all, but this was the game I was looking forward to the most on Monday Night Football this year. I don't know for what reason. I was excited to see this game. You know, as this game drew near, I got excited. I was like, man, I don't know why I'm so excited for Browns and Ravens game. Like, these aren't my, favorite teams. And, I normally don't get overly invested in AFC North contests, but for some reason, I really, really wanted to see this game. And it turned out to be a gem and a whale of a ball game. And a number of takeaways from this game. 47-42, the Ravens get the win. I know the people that had a little action on this thing hated the fact that the Ravens had 2 seconds left on the clock when they kicked that field goal. When Lamar spiked that thing with 7, I said, man, there's going to be at least 1 second left, possibly 2. And the Browns are going to have to get the football back. And normally when you get these, toss back situations where, you're playing backyard football and the ball's going backwards, it usually doesn't go forward. It usually goes backwards. And it either ends up in a touchdown for the defense or a safety. Either way, more points are being added to the scoreboard. And this game went off as Baltimore being 3-point favorites. So I know a lot of people were absolutely pissed off when this safety happened and the Ravens won this game by 5. Anyway, I digress. There were some people that were hoping for the push. And because of that nonsense, with 2 seconds left, you lost some money. But that's nor here nor there. What a game. What a game. What a game. And the Ravens had to have this. Had to. There are many more questions about the Ravens leaving this game than there are the Browns. And the Ravens won the game. We're going to start with the Ravens because they did win this game in one of the craziest games of the season. One of the craziest games you'll see, period. The AFC North is unlike we've ever seen it. The Steelers don't run. The Ravens can't play defense right now. And the Browns are sniffing around first place. And, get this. The Ravens and Browns just played a game with 89 combined points. What the hell is going on? I can tell you what it is. It's 2020. Anyway, let's start with the Ravens. First of all, what a win for this Baltimore Ravens team. I don't know how many more of these they have in them. I don't know if they've got enough left in the tank, if they've got enough healthy bodies. I don't know if they'll be able to make it to the finish line because they can't afford to lose. I said they have to win out with the way the AFC is shaping up. They're probably going to have to go 11-5 and win out and run the table. And this was the toughest game they had remaining on their schedule. So they got the hardest one out of the way. They've got winnable games left on the schedule due to the Baltimore Ravens. So it's not like they're in a position now where they got to go and do this all over again against Pittsburgh, or they got to go do this all over again against Kansas City. They've got left on the schedule Jaguars, Giants, and Bengals. They should be able to win all 3 of those games, 2 out of the 3 with Lamar Jackson having one hand tied behind his back and both of his legs tied together. They should be able to win 2 out of those 3 games. The only one that they are going to have some trouble with if they're not sharp are the Giants. But they're going to smoke Jacksonville next week, more likely than not. And then they've got Cincinnati to finish up. So this team is in a good position, are the Ravens, to run the table. And I told you this was the one that they had to get. And they got it. It wasn't pretty. They lost some bodies tonight. They're in trouble, especially defensively. I don't worry about the offense. A lot of people have made much to do about nothing if you ask me about this offense. Oh, Lamar can't throw it. Well, he had no choice but to throw it with the game on the line. Couldn't run it. Had cramps. Came back in the game. And he shredded the Browns. Rolled out of the pocket. Could have used his legs. Could have dumped it down to J.K. Dobbins. He launched it to Hollywood Brown. Hollywood, who was having a disastrous game. And for the second week in a row, we see a big-time speedster who is having a tough go of it make a massive play late in the ball game. We saw Henry Ruggs do it 2 weeks ago against the Jets for the Raiders after having one go off his hands and get picked and fumbling earlier in that game as well. He atones for all of that with the game-winning touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 3 drops in this game, none bigger than the one on the third down out route from Trace McSorley that would have extended the drive when the Ravens were up 6. He drops it. The Ravens have to punt. The Browns get the football. They move it down the field, kick score the touchdown, kick the extra point, take the lead by 1. So he atones for his mess with the touchdown. Lamar Jackson in this offense is going to be just fine. You know, there was a lot to be said about, can they throw the ball? You know, what are they going to do when they fall behind? This, that, and the third. I don't worry about any of those things. They're fully capable offensively with Lamar Jackson, as we saw tonight. Lamar Jackson led the team in passing. Lamar Jackson led the team in rushing. Whatever they need him to do, he can do. Obviously, you got to check the extent of the injury. Was it really just cramps or was it something else? If you listen to Steve Levy, he keeps alluding to it like the Ravens were lying to him and that it wasn't leg cramps. It was something else. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. I just know that defensively, that's where the problems lie for the Baltimore Ravens. They have to get healthy in the secondary in particular, because this was a poor showing. I still look at it and say there aren't any receivers on their team that scare me, not even Jarvis Landry, because he can't stretch the football field vertically. And yet, week after week, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashard Higgins, and Jarvis Landry, with David Njoku now being sprinkled in, and Harrison Bryant, and Austin Hooper. And he didn't play tonight, but they just figure it out. And they throw the football to Kareem Hunt out of the backfield as well. So they find ways to spread it around, and you had no answers. And I get it, you were down to a nickelback that was really a safety, a hybrid linebacker safety in Levine down the stretch, where you didn't really have any options because of all the injuries. You better get some healthy bodies back there in that secondary, or it could be problematic for you down the road. Now, again, it shouldn't hurt you against Jacksonville. It shouldn't hurt you against the Giants or the Bengals. However, don't leave it to chance. Figure this thing out. If they can't get their defense on track, they'll be one and done in the postseason. I still think they're going to make the postseason. I still think they're going to win out, get to 11-5, and they'll be the 7 seed, more likely than not. Maybe they get to the 6 seed. Depends on how the rest of the AFC shakes out. Who knows what's going to happen, but I think they're going to get in. I just read to you their schedule. They're going to have to play better than they played tonight, though, on defense. Jacksonville fully capable on offense, especially with Gardner Minshew back in the lineup. Giants, we'll see. Cincinnati, nah, they're dead. So, again, I'm anxious to see what they're able to do defensively. should be able to get healthy the next couple of weeks against some teams that are offensively challenged. Really, all three of the final games are against offenses that are offensively challenged in Jacksonville, New York, and the Bengals. However, we'll see. We'll see. But how about just incredible Justin Tucker? One of the greatest field goal kickers these eyes have ever seen. You know, there's Adam Vinatieri and all of the guys that I watched growing up that were really accurate field goal kickers. The field goal kicking game has changed, though. You know, I grew up on Morton Anderson and Gary Anderson and Al Del Greco, and these were really good kickers. You know, really, really exceptional kickers in their day. But the game has changed for field goal kickers, man. You know, back in those days, 50 was a long field goal. Oh, my God. If somebody buried, I mean, a 52-yard field goal when I was growing up was the equivalent of Steph Curry pulling up from right around half court. Like, oh, my God. You know how, I think that's the perfect analogy for NFL field goals now and how they used to be. You know how, you know, in the NBA, when I was growing up back in the 90s, 80s, if you shot the ball from half court, it was a heave. It was one of those one-legged, all your might, push towards the basket. Now dudes are pulling up after they cross midcourt and pulling up like a regular jumper. Dame Lillard and Steph Curry, these guys have unlimited range. You got to guard them as soon as they cross half court. The three-point game has changed in the NBA. Same thing with field goal kickers. Just like guys used to have to heave it to shoot a half-court shot back in the day, that's how it used to be for a 52-yard field goal. That was like a heave. Oh, my God. This guy's got to have a monster leg to kick it from 52. You know, teams didn't even used to attempt those kind of kicks unless you had a kicker that was exceptional. You know, 54 was unheard of. That's a punt. You got to punt the ball. Unless you got one of these elite kickers, 54, that's crazy talk. Now, NBA guys are pulling up from 30, 37, 38 feet like it's nothing. Bottoms, like a regular jumper. And NFL kickers are now kicking 58 and 59 yarders like it's nothing. You used to have to go to Mile High Stadium if you wanted to kick a 58, 59, 60-yard field goal. You had to be inside the attempt of 53-yard field goal. You kicking it outside? Oh, my God. Let's put a guy back there just in case he's short. Game has changed for kickers now. We expect you to drill 52-yarders. If you can't kick a 54-yarder, we need a new kicker. Justin Tucker is the greatest kicker I've ever seen. The only thing he doesn't have on Adam Vinatieri is the fact that Vinatieri's kicked in some of the biggest games and done it in some of the biggest most clutch spots in NFL history. The snow game, the Tuck Rule game, and a blizzard essentially. In the Super Bowl, not once, but twice. So that's what's going to distinguish him when we talk about greatest kickers in NFL history. But if you're just talking about big games in the regular season, clutch kicks, and just simply not missing, ice water in his veins, doesn't matter, you're talking about Justin Tucker for me. You know? So, was there any doubt when Baker Mayfield took his team down the field? Was there any doubt if Lamar Jackson and company could just get a couple of first downs that Justin Tucker was going to come on the field and drill it from wherever they were? As soon as he scored the touchdown, just like I did last year when I told you with Patrick, matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago when the Raiders scored that touchdown and they gave it back to Mahomes, and I told you the first thing I did, I went, corner of the screen. How much time left? Oh, it's 1 minute and 4 seconds left. They lost because Lamar's going to take these boys down the field. And it doesn't matter if it's 59. It doesn't matter if it's 58. It doesn't matter if it's 50, 55, 53. He's going to drill it. And it ended up being 55. and it was bottoms. Was there any doubt? Seriously, was there any doubt? Not many kickers in this league you can say that about. There might be 3 dudes, a very short list of guys that 55, 56, 57 with the game on the line. I'm like, hey, this is money. I can only think of 2 right now. Justin Tucker and Ryan Sucker, or Harrison Butker of Kansas City. Those are the only 2 kickers right now that I can think of that with the game on the line, it's 56. I don't have any doubts. It's game time. What you trying to do? These are not the same old Browns, man. These are not the same old Browns. And I told you I had a newfound respect for them after what they did to Tennessee last week. I wasn't a believer going into the Tennessee game last week. And then that assault, that barrage that they put up against the Titans in the first half last week made me a believer. And tonight was another test. I put a series of tests in front of the Browns this year. And I said, in order for me to give you the respect that you seek, in order for you to get the validation that you want from me, you gotta jump through this hoop and you gotta clear this hurdle right here. I put the first hoop in front of them, and that was the Tennessee game. And they said, oh, that's all I gotta do, bro? Is jump through this hoop? Oh, that's nothing. Matter of fact, I'll clear your little hoop in the first half. Okay? All right, now I got a nice tall hurdle for your ass. Bully in your division, at your place. Monday Night Football. What you gonna do about it? No crazy winds, no crazy inclement weather, no hail or sleet coming sideways to save you today. Like the Patriots had that crazy monsoon to say, none of that shit that you've been having during that 3-game home stretch with the Eagles and the Texans and the Raiders. None of that shit to save you today. Nice clear day. I'm putting a bully in your backyard. What you gonna do? And for a while there, I was over here smiling like, see, I knew you was gonna bitch up. I knew you were gonna bitch up. I knew you were gonna bitch up. I knew it. You were down 14 twice in this game. And I looked at you and I said, went down crying like a bitch. And they said, wait a minute. The game's not over. Give us a chance, man. I said, well, I'm going to give you all the chances you can ask for. But I already see the writing on the wall. You got no answers for Lamar. I said, at some point, Baker's going to make a mistake. And what did he do? He threw a pick, damn near pick 6. I said, you're going to lose this game, and you're going to lose this game by 2 scores. And they got up, had a black eye. The bully, look, he's a bully for a reason. Black eye, little welt under this one, little blood in the corner of the lip here. Q-tip in the nose because they were bleeding from the nose, from one of their nostrils. And they got up and they said, I ain't done fighting yet, man. I ain't afraid of him no more. I'm not afraid of that bully anymore. I said, okay. You got some heart. You got some heart. But heart don't win you a damn thing. Heart can get your ass whooped. Get you even worse beaten. I know some dudes with a lot of heart that took a lot of punishment, man. And you just like, hey, it might be best if you just stay down. But he got heart. So he want to get up and continue to fight just to get beat down. Don't jump up to get beat down is what I told the Browns. It's not worth it. You're 9-3. You got so much football ahead of you. You don't have to do this. They said, I got to do this for me. I said, okay. It's 34-20. And these boys got up off the canvas. Black eye. Whelp under this eye. Q-tip in the nose. Blood coming down the corner here. And they got up and they fought. And Baker Mayfield let these boys back. They go for 2. They get it. They take the lead by 1. And I'm saying, wow, that's pretty damn impressive, man. You just went toe-to-toe with the bully, and you showed them you weren't afraid. And generally, when a team does that to a bully, the bully cowers in the corner. So I thought Baltimore at that moment, with Trace McSorley in the game, was about to go cower in the corner. And who knows, if Trace McSorley doesn't go down at the 2-minute warning, maybe he stays in, doesn't get it done, and the Browns ultimately win this football game. Maybe if he doesn't go down at the 2-minute warning, Lamar's not able to come out from the locker room and get into the game in time. There's so many different factors that come into play. But he went down at the 2-minute warning. It was the perfect storm. 4th down. Lamar's got extra time to come out from the locker room, get his helmet, get out there, get comfortable, and make a play. Touchdown. Converts the 2-point conversion. And I said, hey, look, Cleveland, valiant effort, man. You got my respect. They said, hey, get the hell out of my face. I ain't done fighting yet. Okay, fine. Have it your way. And they marched right down the field in 47 seconds. It couldn't have been any easier. The Ravens should be ashamed of them. And this is what bullies do when they get punched in the face. This is what they do. It couldn't have been any easier to move it down the field. And I looked at Cody Parkey in his eyes. That man was shook. Ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. Scared to look. You scared. That man was shook. I said, there's a lot of stress in his face right now. A lot of stress in that man's eyes. And then they took the delay of game. I said, oh, hell. Cody about to do some bullshit here. Cody made the damn extra point, though. I said, hey, good for you, Cody, man. Good to see you got over that double doink from a few years back. Or a couple of years ago, I should say. Good for you. So, I look at the clock and I said, hey, man, that's a lot of time, 1 minute and 4 seconds. Maybe you should have taken a little bit more time to score that thing. Whatever. Lamar comes on. He hits Andrews a couple of times. They get in the field goal range. And the rest is history. But I got a newfound respect for the Cleveland Browns. I do. I already knew about the run game. I already knew about Baker Mayfield. What I didn't know was this team had heart. I wasn't sure. Because you could do that against Cincinnati, and they did that earlier. But it's totally different when it's a bully. They did that to the bully, and they're no longer afraid. Now, they may still have some issues with Pittsburgh. We'll see. Got that game's coming up in a couple of weeks. But they just exercised a demon. They may have one more left. We'll see. But they just exercised the demon here with the Baltimore Ravens. They're 9-4. They're not going away. Let's check their schedule real quick. See what they got left. It's a soft schedule too. I remember saying, because I tried to get some teams out to make room for Baltimore, because I just can't envision my playoffs, my AFC playoffs without these Ravens. It just anything less would be uncivilized. So I tried to find ways to get some of these teams the hell out of the way. And I looked at Cleveland and I said, oh, you ain't going nowhere. Your schedule is extra Charmin soft. I mean, drugstore cotton soft. Let's see what we're talking about. Giants, Jets, and Steelers. So it's not as soft as the Ravens finish. But the reason I said it was soft is because they're not losing to the Giants or the Jets. They're going to do a double dip down in New York or New Jersey. And they're going to take both of them things. So they may lose to the Steelers in week 17. Okay, whatever. But they'll be 11-5 at that point if they do drop that game. So they're getting in at 11-5. So they have nothing to worry about. So I'm anxious. I want to see more of this Browns team. 9 combined rushing touchdowns in this game. Fantastic, man. This Browns team, they spent draft capital. They spent hard-earned dollars on that offensive line, and it's paying dividends. I hope that their left tackle is okay. Left the game with an injury. The rookie out of Alabama, Jedrick Wills Jr., hope he's good. Guy's been a beast for them all season long, and they've had some tremendous continuity up front. They can run it with anybody. They can run it with the best of them. And I talk about Nick Chubb all the time. Doesn't get enough respect. You know what happens with a lot of these backs that aren't pass catchers is they get left out of that conversation of best backs in football. You know? Because they're not all-purpose guys. Like Chubb's not a receiving threat, even though he can catch it. They usually reserve that for Kareem Hunt. So Chubb doesn't get, he doesn't get thrown into the conversation. You know, for a while, the same thing could be said for Derrick Henry. You know, people always wanted to omit him, even though he was out here doing some dirty, dick, dastardly things to players and teams. But because he wasn't catching the football and making things happen like McCaffrey or Cook or Kamara, he got left out of conversations. Well, you can't do that anymore with some of these pure running backs. Because Chubb is right up there with Henry, who's right up there with Cook and McCaffrey and Aaron Jones and Kamara and all those guys that can catch it. Well, these guys are right there. And Chubb is nasty. It's one of the best backs in football. If he didn't have the injury, he'd be right up there in terms of rushing title this year. So, this Browns team, man, there's something to reckon with. This was a fun one. I was excited and I was not disappointed at all. With the Ravens win, they're now 8-5. And if I'm not mistaken, they're now in the postseason and the Dolphins are now out if the playoffs started tomorrow. Now they just got to win. And I think they're going to do that. So we'll see what happens. Browns are 9-4. They're going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. And they've got the games to prove it. You go to New York, take care of the Giants, and you're good. You're not losing to the Jets the following week. Not going to be easy next week against the Giants. I don't want to make it seem like it's a pushover. Giants are in desperation mode. Their backs are up against the wall. They play really good defense. They're the kind of defense that could give Baker Mayfield some problems. And they stop the run most afternoons. This one's going to be played on a Sunday evening. If they do stop the run, are the Browns going to have a backup plan in place that they'll be able to utilize to make it happen? We'll see. Should be a lot of fun either way. Let's see. We got some super chats, so I want to go ahead and take some of these super chats. Got one here from Kevin the PRF. Thank you for the super chat, Kevin the PRF. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, every year there seems to be one primetime game where two playoff teams meet and just leave defense at home for an 80-plus point game. Normally those games include like teams you expect that from though. You know, the Chiefs, you know, and the Rams that one year. You know, if the Saints get into a shootout with somebody, you're like, okay, that's the Saints. You know, if the Packers get into a shootout with somebody, you're like, okay, I can see that. This was the Ravens and the Browns. This is AFC North football. This once upon a time was a division where the first to 20 wins. We're going to run it. We're going to play hard. This is Marty Schottenheimer type football. When he was the coach of the Browns, like this was Bill Cowher. You know, 13-10, 17-16. These were the scores. I get it. It's a different NFL. And I think a lot of people that are fans of that division long for that. Those days are gone. The Steelers can't find a running game. They've given up. And these two teams combined for 9 touchdowns, but they couldn't stop a damn wet paper bag in this game. They couldn't have stopped a nosebleed. Literally, the team with the ball last was going to end up winning this game. And I get it. The Browns actually technically had it last, but they didn't have a shot with 2 seconds left. This literally was, hey, whoever has time with the drive to put together to score and win was going to win this game. Neither defense was in any position to stop the other team from scoring. It's crazy. You might be right. I'm trying to think of when did we get one of those last year? I know we got one of those in 2018 with the Rams and the Chiefs. I'm trying to think, when did we get one of those last year? We probably did. We always get one of those on Monday night, like you said. Big Money Sonny, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Money Sonny writes, Lou, I missed yesterday's celebration. Great weekend, brother. Looking forward to a third. Sorry you missed it, though. You know what? The celebration kind of got derailed just a slight bit by the fact that Dwayne played. You know what that does to the fan base. It polarizes them, and it's the very divisive. I could care less. I was so happy about the win, especially with the way the defense played. Thank you for the super chat, Big Money Sonny. Silver V, thank you for the super chat, Silver Villains. Greatly appreciate you. My man Silver V writes, well, damn, that was a thriller. Couldn't have said it better myself. He says, all I know is the Steelers best to get their paws on Dak or Sam Darnold or Jameis Winston quickly. Because if not, they will be playing third fiddle for the next decade, Louie T. They're going to have to do something. I don't think Jameis Winston is necessarily the answer. But, you know, if Dallas wants to trip on Dak, that's an option. If they got the kind of money to do that. I don't know what the Steelers cap situation is. You'd have to talk to my man, Captain Spartan. I don't know if they're in a financial situation to handle that kind of bread, you know, that it would take to get a guy like Dak on board. Another interesting name to look out for, I think might be available this offseason, is Matthew Stafford. You know, if you're a team and you think you're ready to go right now and you don't want to wait for a youngin', Sam, you know, Matthew Stafford, call up the Lions and figure out. They're going to have a new regime, new GM, new head coach that may be looking to start from scratch. Who knows? I don't know if they're going to be in a position to get the guy that they may ultimately want at the quarterback position. But if you give them the ammunition, another first-round pick, they may be able to package up some first-rounders, their own, and another one, and go up and get a guy that they want. Who knows? I'm not saying. I'm just saying, if you're one of those teams in that type of position, you would be remiss if you didn't pick up the phone and just see if the Lions are interested. You'd be remiss. Not saying that the Steelers are in that boat because they got Ben, and Ben's probably going to try to play at least another year or two. But I'm not saying. I'm just saying. The Steelers are going to have to figure something out because you're right. If they don't get the quarterback situation figured out, you could even argue they could be in dead last because with Joe Burrow, if they get, let's just, for shits and giggles, let's just say they go out and hire Joe Brady next year and pair him back up with Joe Burrow. And I don't know if Joe Brady's a leader of men or anything like that. I don't know if he's ready to be the head guy of an organization. But I know he knows how to make beautiful music with Joe Burrow. And we saw that Joe Burrow's legit and he's the real deal. And I hope his knee heals and he comes back stronger than ever, similar to the way Brady did after his knee injury. And if he's tearing shit up like he was prior to the injury, and the Steelers don't have an answer at quarterback, they could be in dead last in this division. But we're a ways away from that. Yeah, that was a thriller. Sure. Big Blue Rising, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Big Blue Rising writes, Cody Parkey is still trash. Hashtag double doink. Yes, he is. I'm telling you, there was a lot of fear on that man's face. There was a lot of stress. He looked scared to death. I swear. His mouth was dry when he kicked that kick. Mouth was absolutely dry. Fat American. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Fat American writes, just curious. The Jets fired Greg Williams. Do you think he's washed up, or are the Jets just that bad of an organization? I don't think he's washed. Greg Williams knows defense. All right. I think what that was a sign of is that I think Greg wanted out. I don't think he meant to lose that game. He meant to hit home there. I think he was trying to get out. I told you there was context to that on the podcast that week when I went over it. There was context to that play. The play before they had given up a deep ball that was open for a touchdown, and Derek Carr just missed Nelson Aguilar. So I think in his mind, he's like, I can't trust my defensive backs to just keep everything in front of them. So I need to go after Derek Carr so he doesn't have time to survey the field and find an open receiver down the field again. So I think he just rolled the dice, and unfortunately he crapped out. And I don't want him going somewhere like Dallas. I don't know if Dallas would be interested in hiring a Greg Williams. That might be a little bit too risque of a hire for them. They like yes men. Greg Williams is far from a yes man. And he's the kind of guy that would speak up vocally if he doesn't really like what the head coach is doing. And there's a lot of chicanery going on in Dallas with Mike McCarthy. And he'd be the guy that would step up and say, hey, Mike, you super trash. Because he pretty much did that to Adam Gase. Like, your offense is super doo-doo. And this defense isn't that bad. You're not giving us a shot. So I don't think he's washed. I think the Jets organization is the worst in football right now. It's a mess. It's an abject disaster. It's a dumpster fire. It's whatever way you want to describe the worst. That's the Jets right now. Let's see. I got another one here from Vincent Coe. Thank you for the super chat, Vincent Coe. Greatly appreciate you. Vincent Coe writes, maybe Lamar just needed to take a shit real quick. I don't. That wasn't. Look, unless this man drunk, the kind of laxative off of Dumb and Dumber, where he went gulping a Gatorade bottle that was just filled with laxative, there's no way. That wasn't a real quick dump. That man was gone for like a whole quarter. So, wasn't nothing real quick about it. So, that's not what that was. He had to have cramps. He had to have cramps. At least that's what I'm telling myself. Let's see. Got another super chat here from Metaphor. Thank you for the super chat, Metaphor. Greatly appreciate you. Metaphor writes, whoa, we relevant. Just showed Washington football team gear on NFL.com ad. It's amazing what you notice when you're looking for it. That they probably been showing that ad and had Washington football team gear on it. But maybe you're right. Maybe, you win 4 straight and you start to get into the national consciousness, and maybe they do throw a little bit of your gear in there. But that they were probably up there the entire time. Or you might be right. But hey, we coming, man. And every little bit helps, every little bit helps, including getting your gear thrown on one of these NFL.com ads, man. Let's see. Vincent Coe. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Vincent Coe. Greatly appreciate you. Vincent Coe writes, Raiders just fired their DC. Greg Williams, maybe? I don't know. I think that would actually be a good fit. It would be a really good fit in Vegas. I think he's got enough workable parts in Vegas to make the kind of defense that he likes to play, aggressive style, work. But it wouldn't be this year that they would bring him on. It wouldn't be right now. It's too late in the season to kind of change up what it is the Raiders are doing. But I think that would be a great landing destination, better than Dallas. I think that would actually be a really good destination for Greg Williams. But we shall see. JP, my man John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My man JP writes, it's 2020. The Browns are relevant for the first time since electricity was invented. The Patriots will miss the playoffs for the first time since dinosaurs were alive. And the Cowboys still suck. All great points, JP. I couldn't have said it any better myself. I'm going to be honest with you. All jokes aside. But that was a good one, JP. That was one of your best ones right there. That was a good one. Since electricity was invented and since dinosaurs were alive for the Patriots. That was a good one. This is the best Browns team I've seen personally since, I'm going to call it, and I could be off. I'm not a Browns fan, so I could be off here a year or two. But I'm going to say 2005. Maybe it was 2008. I'm going to go with 2008. With Derek Anderson at quarterback, Kellen Winslow Jr. at tight end, Braylon Edwards at wide receiver, and maybe William Green at running back? I don't know. Maybe Anthony Henry at cornerback? Maybe that's the 10 interception season. I don't know. That was a really explosive and dynamic offense that year. Won 10 games, but still missed the playoffs. I haven't seen a Browns team this good since 2000 and let's call it 8, with Derek Anderson and Braylon Edwards and Kellen Winslow Jr. So, needless to say, you're right. It's 2020, man. A lot of strange things are happening. So. And yeah, the Cowboys still suck. After all of that, that was a good one. Del Monte Corbett. Thank you for the super chat, Del Monte Corbett, who writes, any new news on Alex? Plus, if we win the division, would we be in position to get Kyle Trask? These are all interesting questions, none of which I have the answer to. We have no idea where any of these quarterbacks are going to come off the board. I can tell you Kyle Trask isn't what NFL teams are looking for right now. He doesn't fit into the new NFL. We just watched Lamar Jackson run around for 124 yards tonight, lead his team in rushing. We just watched Jalen Hurts run around for 108 yards yesterday and was his team's second leading rusher. That's what the NFL is looking for. Guys that are mobile, that can extend plays. Hell, even look at Baker Mayfield tonight. Baker can run. You know, he can extend plays. He can use his legs to extend. That's what the league is looking for. When you look at who's been drafted number 1 and you look at the guys that are being selected in the top 10, you don't have to, be a rocket scientist to see what the NFL is moving towards. You look at the Baker Mayfield as a first overall pick. Sam Darnold, we saw him on a Thursday night show off the wheels and run for 46-yard touchdown. Josh Allen, who's extending better than him right now? Nobody. I mean, and then conversely, Josh Rosen, statue in the pocket, can't find work, clinging to his NFL career on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers practice squad right now. The league is going away from those guys. Kyle Trask is more that than he is what we saw the last 3 drafts be selected in the first round. Lamar throw him in that 2018 draft. In 2019, you see Kyler Murray go in the first round. And then in 2020, we saw Herbert, athlete, Tua, can move, and we saw Joe Burrow, athlete, can move. So the league is going away from guys like Kyle Trask. However, if you can find a way to maneuver in the pocket, you don't have to be a tremendous athlete. If you can buy time in the pocket. Again, I got to watch more film on Kyle Trask. I don't know where he's going to end up. He could be a product of college football. and not really a guy that translates to the NFL. So he may not be a guy you got to be in the top 10 or 12 or 15 to select. He may be sitting there for you at 23. But we'll see. It should be interesting. And as far as Alex is concerned, no news. You're not going to get anything on Alex until Wednesday. That's when Rivera will step to the mic. That's when we'll practice. Alex will either be at practice practicing or he won't. And that will tell the story right there. If he's splitting reps with Dwayne, that's not a good sign. If he takes the bulk of the first team reps like he should, then we'll know he's fine. So we'll see. Got a super chat here from Mustango. Thank you for the super chat, Mustango. Greatly appreciate you. Mustango writes, you would think the Browns running game would have been able to hold this Ravens offense to limited possessions, LOL. I see a first round exit. You would think that's what a dominant ground game would ultimately do, shorten the game. But that's not necessarily what they were doing tonight. They were also throwing the football, you know? And when they were running it, they were getting good chunks. This wasn't, 4 and then 3, and now it's 3rd and 3 and they got to convert. It was 8. It was 18. It was like they were getting chunk plays tonight. We're the Browns. A lot of good chunks. Consistently getting chunks. And so even that last drive that they scored on, when they left too much time for Lamar Jackson and company, they scored in 47 seconds. The first play is like a 30-yard chunk to Donovan Peoples-Jones. Then you hit Kareem Hunt for another chunk. And then you hit Kareem Hunt again for a touchdown. It was like bing, bang, boom. So, yes, in one vein, you're like, yeah, they can shorten the game. But you know what's crazy is they've jumped out to some big leads this season and haven't been able to hold it with the run game. Coincidentally enough, the Dallas game, the Titans game, they've had to fight to hold on to those leads. So I don't know if they've got a shorten the game rushing attack. It's more of a, hey, we just about to bludgeon you to death, and we're going to hit you with some big plays with the run game. Like Chubb is breaking off 18, 19, 25, 17-yard runs. He's not looking to get you for 3 or 2. Same with Kareem Hunt. So, I don't know. We're going to see. It's going to be interesting. All right. Got some, I got like 10 minutes or so. Let's run through some of these comments real quick. Niners fan says, there was no doubt the Browns were going to score on their final drive. And I think you were talking about the one to tie it back up. I didn't have any doubts either. The only thing I thought could happen was maybe you get a Ravens forced turnover. Maybe they poke a ball free or they bat a ball in the air. Baker's trying to throw and it gets picked off. Something like that. But outside of a turnover, I didn't think the Ravens had enough to stop them defensively. Reese says, what a game, Lou. This game had everything. This is a game you show to someone who doesn't watch football to show them why it's such a beautiful game. Yeah, pretty much, yeah, that. Reese says, this looked like the ass kicking of the century. This is why we love this game. I thought the Browns were going to get beat up. I thought the bully was going to be too much for them. But I've already described how they were able to answer the bell multiple times where it looked like the referee was going to come in, stop the fight. They were able to get back to their corner, sit down, get some water thrown on their face, collect themselves, and continue to fight. And I got to give them credit for that. No moral victories. But what this says to me is that they're no longer afraid of them. They're ready to take over, being the second best team or possibly getting as far as the top of this division. They're ready. Niners fan says, Stefanski should be in the Coach of the Year convo. Last year, Baker looked terrible, but Stefanski came in and settled him down, and now Baker looks legit. I told anybody that would listen that this was going to be a match made in heaven. I told anybody, you can go back in the archives, I said they made a mistake not hiring Greg Williams. That was number one. And I said, Freddie Kitchens is in over his head. You take that Southern drawl and carry your ass to college football with that bullshit. That whole rah-rah bullshit you trying to push, that shit doesn't work in the NFL. You take that to Southeast Alabama some damn where and try to win there. Don't bring that shit to the NFL. And Baker was right behind him, cheerleading him and rooting him on. I said, well, both of y'all can get your ass kicked then. And they did. And luckily enough, the Browns organization was smart enough to say, this is a train wreck. Unlike the Cowboys, who are going to continue to ride that train, even though there are more wrecks coming. They're going to just stick with it. Good for you. Bless your heart. And when they hired Stefanski, I said, perfect hire. Exactly what Baker needs. Exactly what this Brown team is about with the talent that they have. He's going to put Baker in his element. And he has. Niners fan says, it's official. The Browns offense is better without Odell, as stunning as that sounds. I told you guys that. I told you it was hard for me to fix my lips to say it. But you can see it. There's no longer the pressure on number 6 to make sure that Odell is happy. Did I get 13 enough opportunities? Was he open on that play? Should I have thrown it to him? You don't have to worry about that anymore. Now you got a bunch of young, hungry guys that are just following your lead. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a rookie. He's wide-eyed. He's just happy to be here. Rashad Higgins is like a third-year guy, fourth-year guy. He's just happy to be here. And the wily vet, Jarvis Landry, is happy to lead. He just wants to be a part of a winning team. He hasn't seen that really in his entire career. He just wants to be a part of a winner at this level. So he's just happy. Get along to go along. Or go along to get along. He's just happy. So Baker can now lead because there is no voice higher than his. So I just think it's easier when you can distribute the football how you see fit and don't have to worry about a guy getting his touches, and if he doesn't, it's a problem. Niners fan says the Browns badly missed Denzel Ward today. Yes, they did. I was thinking about it as I saw some of the plays early in the game, and I was like, man, they are missing Denzel Ward. And it really showed up late in the game when Hollywood Brown got loose. Reese says, let's give some props to Peoples-Jones. That sucker makes plays. Yes, he does. And I clowned him coming out of Michigan. I really did. I wasn't a Donovan. I knew he had talent. But I wasn't a fan of his. Donovan Peoples-Jones was not on my list of receivers that I thought highly of in the 2020 draft. And he's making plays, as you mentioned, at every turn. In crucial situations, he's making plays. Reese says, that mother ucker, Justin Tucker, wins it for the Ravens. Reese says, Browns have nothing to be ashamed of. They fought their asses off to get back into this game. Facts. Big facts. Niners fan says, Justin Tucker is the GOAT. No arguments here. None whatsoever. Reese says, if Lamar Jackson didn't have his athleticism, could he be a successful NFL QB? Well, that's a double-edged sword. It's a tough question to ask because he doesn't get an opportunity if he doesn't win the Heisman Trophy. He is in a first-round pick, and he doesn't get an opportunity if he doesn't have his athleticism. Without his athleticism, he's Terrell Pryor. He's what's the kid? Malcolm Perry from Navy. He's all of these other quarterbacks that had successful collegiate careers but couldn't cut it as an NFL quarterback. his athleticism, now he's got a much better arm than those guys that I just referenced. Terrell Pryor, Malcolm Perry, all those guys. However, his arm isn't consistent enough right now. Like, he had his tight end wide ass open for a touchdown, 5 yards behind the defense, and he overshot him by 5 yards. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you're talking about when you say he's inconsistent as a thrower. But man, is he dynamic with his legs. And that's why you draft him. You revamp your offense. You bring in a coordinator that understands how to nurture this kind of a player. That's why you go out and you get their offensive coordinator that ran a similar offense for Kaepernick in San Francisco. Like, you go out and you find guys that understand what kind of a unicorn you have and how to utilize it. And so, no, he wouldn't be an NFL quarterback without his athleticism, but it's his athleticism that makes him the danger that he is. Niners fan says, disappointing effort by the Browns defense today. Yeah, it was, but I wasn't expecting much from their defense, to be honest with you. Haven't been impressed with. I mean, remember we watched Joe Burrow light him up for 30 in week 2? Now, I get it. That's week 2. I mean, a far cry from where they are, but I've watched this Browns defense all season long, and they've had their moments, but I watched Dallas and I get it. You can take your foot off the gas pedal, but if you're a good defense, I don't care how much you're up by. You're not allowing a team that's down by 31 points in the fourth quarter to scratch and claw within 3. I don't care how far up you are. You're up 38-7 at halftime. There's no way I'm winning that game by 6. So this defense is capable of giving it up. Hank Midas says, Lamar doing a great Willis Reed impression tonight. That he did, man. That was so dramatic. Coming back in the game. It was 4th down. They had to have it. Game on the line. Like my man Reese said, this game had everything. Jonathan Hankey says, the Browns scored way too fast and they forgot about the Ravens kicker. I don't think they forgot about him. They just didn't care. They said, hey, we got to get in the end zone. We don't care how fast it is or how long it takes us. We just got to get in there, and then we'll trust our defense to go out and get a stop. It didn't happen, obviously. Cody Larson says, I retract my statement from a few weeks ago. Baker is not a bust. I mean, anybody that watched him knew he wasn't a bust. Last year was rough. And what last year did was it put him in a position where people were going to start watching him closely this year. Because last year he was so awful that you started to question, was year 1 Baker a mirage? Or was that legit, and was it really just the coaching in year 2? We got our answer very early in this season. Remember, I put the pressure on Baker after week 1 in that debacle versus these same Ravens when they lost 38-6. I said, all right, Baker, week 2, primetime television versus the Bengals. I need to see it, and I need to see it right now. If you don't show me something tonight, we got issues because the Bengals stink. And he showed us something that night. And I said, okay, he's cool. Don't worry about it. He's going to be fine with Kevin Stefanski. He's going to be fine. Rich says, what a game. Baker can really do some great shit if he wanted to. By the way, you disrespected me yesterday after my Dwayne comment yesterday. How come? Because I wasn't trying to have the Dwayne conversation. It's the same thing I did today on the show. I don't want to have the Dwayne conversation with people. Because if you can't see it, and you want to start dragging Alex Smith into the conversation and, oh, you do this for this guy, you make excuses for this guy and that. I don't want to do that. We won the game on playing defense. Dwayne is not the answer. If you can't see that, then I'm not going to try to explain that to you. But what I'm trying to say is we're not going to do the tit for tat Dwayne thing. Oh, Alex threw in the triple coverage, so you need to acknowledge that. No, we're not doing a tit for tat thing. Because Alex isn't missing 5-yard shallow crosses. So I don't want to hear about Dwayne needs time and he didn't play for 8 weeks. And I don't hear none of that. You don't have to play every week to be able to hit the simple stuff. His mechanics are terrible, and I don't think you can fix it. So he's going to consistently miss open targets. His mechanics are the worst. He throws with all arm. He doesn't step into throws. So I don't want to have the Dwayne discussion because he's not a part of the future for me. So when somebody tries to go down that road with me, I'm gonna just deflect and I'm gonna move on. I don't have time. And I remember dismissing you. I don't recall what your comment was, but it was a dismissible comment at the time for what the direction of the show was going. Because I think I had already said my Dwayne piece already. And we had moved on. And so I needed to continue to go where we were going. Which is I wanted to focus on the defense. And I want to focus on guys that are going to be here in the future. Dwayne is not a part of the future. If you couldn't see that after yesterday's game, again, I don't know what to tell you. And I hate to be harsh, but yesterday, Dwayne did just enough. And I'm glad we got the win. That kid doesn't get it, though. He doesn't. I hate to bring stuff up that has nothing to do with football because it don't have nothing to do with football. But since we're on the topic of Dwayne, I see him on the team playing on the way back, flossing with his ice, and he's showing off his earring, and it's a big diamond earring, and he's showing off his watch, and he's showing off his chain, and he's showing off his shoes. And I'm just thinking to myself, you don't get it, do you? You weren't good today. We won in spite of you, bruh. Not because of you. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand that he's not good. He thinks it's somebody else's fault. That's why I was dismissive. 32 J Lock says Browns are cursed. I know you're a Browns fan. They're not cursed. Okay. They're winning. They're gonna make the playoffs, and they're gonna be a tough out. They're gonna be a tough out. Rich says next year we should be where the Browns are. I can't say that definitively because we don't have a quarterback of the future yet. And we don't know the extent of Alex Smith's future. Alex could say, you know what? This is all I wanted. I wanted to come back and show myself that I could do it. I'm good now. I'm going to go ahead and hang it up. Now, if you bring Kyle Allen back and he plays well, then yeah, maybe we could be where the Browns are. But it's hard to say that without having the quarterback situation resolved. If we know Alex is coming back and we know he's going to play well, which we can't say for certain right now, then yeah, you can make a declaration like that. I think you could, with this defense continuing to grow and mature, and Alex coming back and Kyle Allen potentially coming back, and you draft a youngin', yeah, we could potentially be where the Browns are next year. Or not. Hard to say. I could see that, though. Reese says, Justin Tucker said, hold my drink, then went out there, drilled it. I bet that dude gets tons of chicks. I don't know if he does. I think he's married. He's a very interesting guy. He does opera. I know you guys have seen this already. He's got a hell of a voice. You know, he does one of those type of deals. You know what I mean? He can hit those octave notes, and he's got one of those, I forgot what kind of, what the name of that kind of voice is, but he's got one of those opera voices, man. He's a different dude, man, for sure. Captain Spartan 04 says, a great game. Louisville boy, Lamar showing up huge, and the Steelers got some cushion Just watched Joe Green, A Football Life earlier today, and I'm pumped. That's funny. 32 J Lock says, just like the Bills and Browns, just like the Bills, the Browns need to build a decent culture and mature. Next year, they should be able to take that next step. Still a young team. Yeah, I mean, it's a first-year head coach coming in and showing you that he's the real deal. You should love that right out of the gate. You didn't have to wait for 2 or 3 years in to figure out if we got the right guy or not. He's showing you right now that I'm the right man for the job. And I'm here to stay, and I think we can do big things here in Cleveland. It's a young nucleus, and you should be excited if you're a Browns fan of what the future potentially could be with Kevin Stefanski, Baker Mayfield, Myles Garrett, Jedrick Wills, and all the guys that you have on that team, Chubb and Hunt, and you just signed Hunt to an extension. It's a young team, man, full of talented football players. It really is. David Njoku looked good tonight, too. I was like, damn, I wish we could have traded for him. He looked really good tonight. Anyway, he's got to be approaching his last year of his rookie deal, right? Where are we at with that? What year was he in? Was he the 17 draft? I think he was the 17 draft. So we're at the hour and 10-minute mark, so I'm about to get out of here. I'm going to take a couple more of these and skedaddle. Kevin the PRF says, hope Cleveland is so mad they destroy whoever it is they're playing next Sunday at 8:20 p.m. I second that comment. Cody Larson says, do you think the Browns may miss the playoffs because of this loss? No, I don't. JP says, that in my eyes was the game of the year. Lamar was the hero for this one and didn't have to use his legs. Made the throw and trusted his speedster to get them right back in it. And what's crazy is you could tell he was compromised. On that last possession, he couldn't get out of the pocket like he did on that fourth down play. He was boxed in, and he had to find ways to throw the football within the confines of a crumbling pocket, and he did it not once but twice. So kudos to Lamar for making it happen. That's a big win in his career, man. That's one of those wins that could catapult this team into believing, and it could also be one of those career-defining wins for Lamar. Because so much is made of his legs, and tonight was one of those nights. They kept comparing the two quarterbacks, and the numbers didn't look all that great for Lamar from a passing standpoint. But if you watched the game, you knew his legs were massive impacts, as they usually are. And so, the assumption was, well, Lamar without his legs is really a non-factor. And lo and behold, it was his arm that literally won them the football game at the end. So, and he was hyped. I think he was hyped for the win first and foremost because of what it meant for their season. But I think he also was hyped because of what it might have done for his legacy. What it might have done for the narrative on Lamar Jackson. He still got to win playoff games. I think that's what it all boils down to for him is he got to win in the playoffs. He still hasn't won a playoff game, and they've had some very favorable situations. They both of his losses in the playoffs have come at home against teams that they were favored to beat. And so I think until he gets that playoff monkey off his back, wins a game or two, that's going to be the narrative on him. But this was a big win right here. Ali Saad says, damn it, Lou. I was hoping the Ravens would lose this game so my Raiders can go to the playoffs, but it seems like that's not going to happen now. Damn it. Browns can't make a tackle, shaking my head. Look, the problem you made was you started relying on other people to do your dirty work for you. First of all, you lost to the Falcons. Once you lost that game, you should have known, hey, we ain't going nowhere but home. You don't get beat up like that at Atlanta, okay? Then you tried to lose to the Jets. You really thought you were going to the playoffs? After the last month of football you've seen from the Raiders, you really thought it was a good idea to think that this team was going to have a shot to go to the playoffs and actually win some games and do some damage. You guys are going in the wrong direction. You haven't played a strong game since the Kansas City game. What was that, 3-4 weeks ago now? You got blown out by the Falcons. You barely eked by the Jets. Should have lost that game. And you got your ass handed to you by the Colts. You weren't going anywhere but home, bro. Nowhere but home. Whether the Ravens lost this game or not, you weren't going nowhere but home. All right. Let's get out of here, man. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. This was a hell of a football game. To me, the best of the season thus far. Well, we've seen some really good ones. Definitely the best of the primetime games. I'm trying to think about, just regular games at 1 o'clock. Have we had any thrillers like this? Not with this many points, obviously, but the tit for tat back and forth nature of this down the stretch, the theatrics of Lamar Jackson, the build up of him coming back, and there was just this crazy energy late in this game. The suspense of Lamar. What is he gonna do? It's 4th down. Oh my God. I don't think there's been a better game all season long. This is a really good game. Ravens, 47. Browns, 42. Wow. Ravens 8-5 with the win. Now are in 7th place for the 7th and final spot in the AFC playoff picture. Dolphins are still right there knocking on the door, tied at 8-5, but due to the record in the conference, I think the Ravens have the upper hand. It might be common opponents, the records versus common opponents. I think it's just the overall record in the AFC, but either way, the Ravens, they have to win out. Now, I said that when they were 6-5 and a lot of people left them for dead. I said, this team's going to win out. And I looked at their schedule and I said, it's very doable. Dallas, Cleveland, the Jaguars, the Giants, and the Bengals. They can do it. And they got past the hard part of that stretch, which was Dallas and Cincinnati. And I'm not saying Dallas is included in that, or Dallas and Cleveland, excuse me. But they got past the Browns. That was the one game that I looked at and said, if they're going to lose, it's going to be that game. They could lose to the Giants. Highly unlikely. They're now 8-5, and I think they can run the table and get to 11-5 and get in. And again, my postseason isn't complete in the AFC, for as good as it is, without the Baltimore Ravens being involved. They're too good of a football team not to be in the mix. They got to get healthy, though. They left this game all kinds of wounded, and they got some big questions, including, what the hell do you do with backup quarterback? Bob Griffin is out. Trace McSorley looks like he did some serious damage to his leg. What do you do? For the Browns, you're now 9-4. Valiant effort. If nothing else, you showed that you're no longer afraid of one of the bullies in the AFC North division. I don't know if Week 17 is going to mean anything for you or the Steelers, but that will be another test if it in fact does come down to you needing that game to make sure you secure your berth in the postseason, or likewise for the Steelers, in terms of, maybe the number 1 seed is still in play, or, versus the 2 versus the 3 seed. It's not that big of a difference, but it does make a difference when you're talking about home field advantage. So, maybe the Steelers will have something to play for, because Buffalo is knocking on the door of that 2 seed. And if you're Pittsburgh, you want the 2 seed just in case you have to see Buffalo. Because, eventually you could get to a point where we get down to the final 4 teams in the postseason, 2 plays 3, you could find yourself playing these Buffalo Bills, and you might want that game to actually be at Heinz Field and not have to return to the scene of the crime at Orchard Park. So we'll see. Anyway, I digress. Ravens 47, Browns 42. What a thrilling, epic finish. Just incredible, a.k.a. Justin Tucker, the GOAT, with a 55-yarder to give the Ravens the lead. You would also see a safety at the end as they tried to lateral the football. Boy, that sucked for a lot of people that had some action on this game and had the Ravens, or had the Browns in this one. Yikes. That's going to do it for your man, Louie T. Thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't already done so, quickly, go ahead and sub up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, if you haven't done so, hit the like button. It's 175 of you out there right now. I got 59 likes. Let's get it to 60. Then let's try to get it to 70. And 75, that'd be great on the way out. So if you haven't hit the like button, hit that for me if you would so kindly on your way out. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Man, that was an epic game. Look forward to seeing what Week 15 in the National Football League has in store for us. I can tell you that this is going to be one of the worst weeks of primetime football. They waited to the very end to give us trash. We got Chargers Raiders on Thursday. We got Giants and Browns on Sunday night. And then Monday they said, we're going to give you some double dog doo-doo. Take you some Steelers and Bengals. Ugh, that stinks. Or as a wise man once told me, ugh, that's nasty. Yeah, it is. It's real nasty. All of that shit stinks. All of it. What? We'll see what happens. We get some Saturday football, though. You excited about that? We get some Saturday action. Doubleheader. That could be cool. Anyway, I'll see you guys on the podcast on Wednesday. If you're a Washington fan, I'll see you for Washington Football Nightly tomorrow night. Until then, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.